Hello YouTube, and welcome to another random vlog and stuff. So, it is Thursday, and my finals are tomorrow, and I've studied pretty much all I can. I'm like, 5 hours of studying will not help me. It will just stress me out, because, 2 hours of studying plus, I spend time on it. It's just, I don't know. I'm gonna just try and get a good night's sleep and do all that. But you see, today during AP Comp Sci, we were talking and we got into a debate. And I went and I did a little bit of research on it. And I found out something super cool. And this is off of YouTube, so I'll probably put the link of what I'm talking about in the description. But, okay, so we started talking about dimensions of figures. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, think back to your geometry class. So, there are essentially one-dimensional figures, which are just, I think, lines. Yeah, they're lines and dots, I think. Yeah, lines, and then a zero-dimensional would be a dot, I think, and that. Yeah, because it's point, line, and then there's box, and then there's cube. And you see, those are the dimensions. It's going to be 0, which would be a point. There would be one dimension, which is one line. And then there's a square, which would be two-dimensional, which is 4 lines, right? And then there's three-dimensional, which is 6 boxes, which, is really cool. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 lines? Yeah, 12 lines. But you see, then we started talking about fourth dimension, and we're like, what would that be? And I thought that, hey, you know what? Well, the way I remember all of this stuff is this way. A three-dimensional shape casts a two-dimensional shadow, and a two-dimensional shape casts a one-dimensional shadow. And then a one-dimensional shape would cast a zero-dimensional shadow, which would be nothing. Which is why when you see, like, look, this is my hand, and you see how there's that shadow? That's 2D. Like, see my thumb? That's 2D. And then if you were to take that and look at it from the side, there's nothing there. Which is why the shadow is in the second dimension. And all that. And then there's 1D, which would be the point in which that exists. So, fourth dimension, in a way, would just be talking about, how do I talk about this? Fourth dimension would cast a three-dimensional shadow, if you understand what I'm trying to say. So, a fourth dimension would be an object, the object, or whatever is in the fourth dimension, and then it would cast three-dimensional shadows. So for all we know, we are three-dimensional shadows, but no, that is not how it works. Like, that's what some people probably would think. However, no. Let's just keep going on the idea. So, a fourth-dimensional shape would cast three-dimensional shadows. However, when you look at it, initially, you will not see a fourth-dimensional shape because our brains cannot process a fourth-dimensional shape at the same time. You will see a three-dimensional shape. You will see a cube. Let's say we're using a cube, and this cube is 3D. It has, one side, one side, one side, one side, one side. Wait, one side, one side. One side. Add one more to the previous one, and that there would be called a let's see. Well, of course, 3D, a cube. However, how do you see things? Okay, if you were to map out or draw out a cube on paper, that is making it in the 2-dimension, right? Yeah, exactly. So, so this video I watched, and I'm gonna put in the description, is talking about how in the 2-dimension. So, what can we do now that we couldn't do 10 years ago, 20 years ago? We can see and visualize things in the 3rd dimension. And you're like, No, we can't. We can't make that in real life. You're right. We can't make that in real life yet. However, we can simulate that in VR. And I just watched a video. So we watched this during first period today. Me and one of my friends. Because we were discussing it. And sorry, sore throat. And I've been thinking about this like the entire day, and it's really cool. So, a 4-dimensional, so it's all about perspective. How do you, so going back to the 3D, drawing a 3D object. How many ways are there? There is isomorphic, which is where you go, like, imagine my hand for a sec, is it? So, this here, you go there, and then there, 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 and then there, and then there, 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 there. Well, imagine I just made a cube. Just imagine a cube on paper. So you just make a box, and then you connect the lines like that. You know, whatever. Just make a cube on paper so you can see through it. And then that's one way. And then there is the orthographic, which is 2 sides, I think. So let's say you take this face and then, okay, how do I do this? Yes. Okay, so take these, and you see how this hand is like this, and then this hand is like this, and then they're at an angle. And then let's say, like, how do I can't draw it with my hands. But no, let's go back to what I was saying. Look, I'm dying, But a 4th dimensional, it's essentially, what am I trying to say? You can view it, the way you can see it is in different perspectives, and then you can just see it straight up, so it looks like a cube. Like if you're looking at the faces, imagine a Rubik's Cube in front of you, or just click the video that I link, because this person helps explain it so much, and then you can conclude things from it. So, how do you draw a cube, essentially? So most people, they just do face, face, face. However, if you want to be accurate, you can do one cube here, one square here, and then connect all the lines, right? Now, let's change the perspective of the 4th dimensional object, the 4th dimensional cube, let's say, or the hypercube as it is. Now, you are getting an object now, and you're seeing it, and it has 3-dimensional shadows. Now, they aren't cubes, they won't all look exactly like the same cube, but they will be casting 3-dimensional shadows, which in itself is really difficult to conceptualize. Ooh, the sun. Gotta get these beauty shots, of course, yeah. But no. I'm dying. And I apologize for that. But these 4th dimensional things, so they leave shadows. However, we already know how many shadows will this be. We already know this. There's a trend. So what is a line? 1 point. Well, never mind. 1 line is 1 line. How many points are in a line? There are 2 points, and it is the distance between. Now, how many lines are in a cube? Well, that's 4, right? It takes 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going back to the cube. How many squares are on a cube? 6. 2, 4, 6. So we already know how many 3-dimensional figures are gonna be in a hypercube. 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Which are going to be connected by 2D and now remember, these 3D figures also cast 2D figures. Well, 2D shadows. So it's just going to create these faces that are going to go over and connect the 3D shapes to each other. If that makes sense. I don't know. It doesn't make as much sense how I'm trying to explain it. The video explains it better because he has a VR headset and he's using a program, and I recommend if you have one, just go in and mess with it. It's just super cool just thinking about. But essentially it's 8 cubes that are all focused around one orientation. I don't know, it's like you just change your perspective and you can see that there are usually 2 cubes inside and then 6 surrounding, but it doesn't work that way. You connect them all. I can't explain it. It's difficult to explain, but think about it that way. There are 8 cubes if you want to create a hypercube that are gonna create 8 times that. They're gonna have 8 shadows, which in itself are gonna have 4 sides. It's gonna have however many sides that is, and then there's gonna be however many lines, and then however many dots. Now, I don't know the exact numbers. I'm gonna probably do that while I'm in the cafe, but, well, coffee shop, but to me, this just like fascinated me and caught my attention for like the entire day, and I've been in a good mood because of it, because it's like, I like thinking about these sort of things. Like, but the base concept is you can now conceptualize things that couldn't, and that's with 3D technology, like this VR stuff. Like, people are gonna, like, people talk about VR like, hey, VR chat. Hey, games, hey, all that. But you also have to realize there's another element to it, which is you can now progress in science and in theorizing and all of this, because you just have to put in the actual physics that are in our world, and then you can see how it is and just show the results that are like how it should be. Like, the way you create a 4th dimensional object is you create a 3-dimensional, you create the idea of a 4th dimensional shape, and then you manipulate the way you see it in a 3-dimensional plane. And it's all about perspective. Like, right now, I look like this. Over like this, I look like that. It's all about perspective, see? Like, I look slightly shorter this way, and then I look taller this way. So if I wanted to be taller than you guys, I look down on everyone, I'd go like that. But no, I'm talking straight to you. And then, like, you know, it's just like how the angles work. And then, for me, that's really cool, because not only does that affect how physics and all that works, or how the world works, you can see the world, but I just had an idea and I don't want to talk about it. Do leaves count since they're all branching off from the same thing as 3-dimensional figures then? Or 4th dimensional? Because they're coming from a source and then they're going to be branching off and they're all mirrored. No, that's 3-dimensional. Okay, anyway, but it's all about perspective. And even if you don't use this, let's say you aren't ever going to be a math major, you aren't going to ever be in science or any of that. Let's say you're an art major. Essentially what this is if I were to go like this, you know those cool cinematic and edit things? Imagine if my hand left a trail. That would be what 4D is. Only it's a 3D trail. So like going like this, I can't do this. But it's like if you were to take a photo of me going like this, and it's that leave a figure behind, it's like seeing that. That's what it would be in if you could conceptualize it. It's the really cool super fast effects that have it so it shows like in movies. Like, you know how the hands are like stopped like that, and then it's like that in movies. And to me, if you're in art, that's a really cool idea to think about as well. Like, because now you can think about, okay, if you're drawing a 2D person, cool. You just need to work on 2D. If you're drawing a 3D person, you can think about how that would work and then put it on paper, and then you have that. Now, you can't draw a 4D person because you can't conceptualize it. However, I feel like art-wise and the way you can make things look good, same with architecture, and the way stability works, I feel like fourth dimensional stuff could help with that. Like, this is just my random thoughts, by the way. Like, to me, a fourth dimensional object, the way that it's been displayed to me, looks stable and ever-changing, if you understand what I'm talking about. It looks like, depending on how you look at it, you're changing the space around you without making any difference in mass, volume, size, or any of that. But you are changing the value of what you're seeing. It's like how a shadow like this looks like this in this perspective, but if I were to change the perspective on you, like that, see how it's going from flat until there, then it's longer? That there is essentially what 3D does, 4D does with 3D objects. So let's say I have a fourth dimensional thing. The angle of which you're looking at it, the 3D, they aren't all cubes. They have the shapes of cubes, the same number of sides as cubes. However, and this is just for a hypercube, by the way. However, they changed the cube shadows are different. Like, they are not the same size. The one that is in front of you will not be the same as the one on the right side. And I'm not even sure if you can use right and left anymore to describe what the sides of the shape would be. Because to me, it looked like there's an inner, an outer, a top, a bottom, a left, a right, a front, a back, and then two inside. It's interesting. I really, really like just conceptualizing and thinking about this stuff. And I'm sorry I went off on a tangent, and I know this video isn't like what I usually do, but I've just been fascinated with this idea the entire day, and I needed to get it off of my chest and just speak. So tell me if you want me to try and find more things like this, because I love just talking about these concepts and ideas about like fourth dimension and how we can use the technology of today to better understand and see how we can progress. Like, I mean, if you don't, like, how can you? This is so cool. Like, I don't know, it's just awesome. Anyway, I'll leave this video here. If you liked it, leave a like. If you didn't, tell me what you'd like me to do better, and I'll try and do that. If remember, stay awesome. I hope you have a beautiful day or night wherever you live, and I'll see all of you in the next episode, hopefully. Maybe or maybe not. See ya! Bye.